Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, we head to New York in the roaring 20s, where we shall drink hooch in speak-easies with fairies and flappers.
An English gentleman of means can live very pleasantly in New York if he's sensible and doesn't upset the natives. Even the local constabulary, who appear to be Fenians to a man, are, with the exception of the odious Sergeant Bracknell, perfectly respectful if you're polite and don't get in their way. There are some very passable restaurants, art galleries and concert halls if high culture is persona grata, as it were. But where New York has it over London in spades is modern music. And for the best of that, one must venture above 110th Street to the neighborhood they call Harlem. There, a gentleman can seek out the company of like-minded gentlemen while listening to the best jazz in the world.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that takes good care of itself and wears a Marcel wave in its hair. Matt, I've got to say, can you explain what a Marcel wave is to me? Because you know me. I'm not exactly BBC4 when it comes to cultural and high-mindedness.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, before I attempt that, or in fact, I'm going to tell you a little story while you Google it, because it is about. It's the hair. I think it's basically putting loads of product in your hair and having a little curl. I mean, I the two places I've heard that expression are in Annie Lennox's cover of Keep Young and Beautiful, and indeed the original or other versions.
She did a cover of that.
Yeah,
wow.
So it's kind of the bonus track on the end of the Diva album, and she does a sort of a 1920s pastiche of Keep Young and Beautiful. And the other place I found it is here. So, frankly, I'm not massively sure what it is. I think it's the bit where it's all wavy and stuck down and solid as a rock.
Okay.
But I had a haircut this week.
Oh, actually, I can see you do have a Marcel wave going on there. You see, what I think you did here, now I have actually Googled it, is to, you clearly used a curling iron to create divots in your hair, moving towards the nape of the neck. And then using your fingers, you created a back and forth wave style.
You know what? That's not what I had.
No.
Look, getting a haircut, I hate having my hair cut. And one of the reasons is because I can't see very well, I identify people by shape of hair and the clothes they're wearing. If I walk into a party, I remember how everybody's hair looks at the moment and what clothes they're wearing. So for me, there's kind of sort of an existential element to going to the hairdresser. And I went and had my hair cut this way. I hate it. Normally I have it shaved off shaved back grade 4. And then 6 months later, I'll have it done again. I'll grit my teeth and do it. And of course, at my age, more and more grey hair falls into my lap every time. I had a genius hairdresser once. It took me 21 years to find somebody who I could trust to cut my hair. He's called Darren, and he died of sepsis. I mean, that is my luck. I finally find a bloke.
You finally find a man who dies of sepsis. This podcast really did take. Well, in a moment, we will get to back to what the core of this podcast is all about, reviewing audiobooks. But we'll park the audiobooks for a moment while we talk about the hair for a little bit longer. So
I believe that this is called the weave, Steve, and it's very much in vogue at the moment, funnily enough.
Ah, is it really? Oh, well, yeah. I'm not. I must admit, out of the two of us this week, I'm not feeling terribly zeitgeist. You had no idea about the Annie Lennox cover of Keep Young and Beautiful. And the other thing as well that we talked about, which seems to have eluded me.
Yes.
What a week I'm having.
You are having a week. Now, come on, let me get on with the story. So the other thing is, at the end of when you finished your haircut, right, I can't see myself in the mirror, so I'm having my the way I present myself to the world changed. And when they wave the back of the mirror at the back of your head, saying, "I've done this, sir," and on this side I've done this, sir. I can't see that mirror, so I went, all right. And then, and I'm going to use our private video line that we have when we're recording these podcasts.
Okay.
I got back, I said, yeah, that's fine, mate. Here's your money. I'm off. Having not enjoyed the experience. And obviously I'm in Adelaide at the moment, so went back home, saw the kids, and little Wizzy points out, Daddy, they've given you a mullet.
No! Wow. Oh, it's 1985 all over again.
I'm party at the front. No, party at the back. Business at the front, party at the back. That's what I am. But I think you knew that already, Steve.
I had heard the rumour.
This may come up later in the review in this podcast. So yeah, basically I'm deformed. I mean, I'm blending in.
Yeah.
The mullet is very much the haircut of choice. Normally paired with a moustache down here on men in their 20s.
Yeah.
Which for me is a cry for help, to be honest.
You'll be fine. Just tuck it into the back of your shirt. You'll be fine. Yeah, just comb it down. Use weights to keep it underneath the shirt.
I've got a tail.
You have a tail, Rapunzel. Oh yes.
Oh.
When people start going, let down your hair, Matt, you know it's really gone bad.
Do you know what? My hair's let me down. There you go. That's cleverer than it is funny, to be honest, but I'll have it.
That's all we have time for this week for a Coiffer Review Club. We'll just drag us back.
Come on,
drag us back.
You're in charge. You're meant to be holding us together.
The reason why we mentioned the Marcel Way, because it was especially popular in the 1920s, which also happens to be the time period in which The Masquerades of Spring by Ben Aaronovitch is set. That is the book this week, narrated by Kobna Holdbrook-Smith. As ever, he's back, 4 hours and 34 minutes, published by Orion. And Matt, you are a fan of the Rivers of London series, but this is not quite that, is it?
No. It is set, as you say, rather than 21st century London. The Rivers of London series, I have a huge emotional attachment to this series. I started listening to audiobooks in about 2015, having spent 20 years, going to work, staring at a screen all day. A colleague on the last show I worked on before this, he was vision impaired too, and he said that for him, even though he won a bronze medal at the Paralympics, a day of sitting at a screen and typing and reading was more tiring for him than training for the 800 meters in the Paralympics. Lovely to have met somebody who shares the experience with me and realize I'm not alone, but I didn't read a book for 20 years. And then this comes along, this series, and I was just doing some research on the author, and he grew up. And I think, indeed, Peter Grant, the star of the book series, he grew up 10 minutes away from where I did in Camden. So that was heartwarming at a time when I was here in Australia against my will. I had a lovely reminder of London. It's a police procedural kind of novel for the first 4 paragraphs, and then the next 11 books, basically paragraph 5, the notion that ghosts and magic exist get plonked in, and it juxtaposes all of the London stuff. The fact that Peter Grant, the main character, goes to Greggs to get his lunch, and he may stop off at M&S to buy a packet of Percy Pigs. And that's juxtaposed with, one of my favourite images from the series is what a unicorn is actually like. And of course, the unicorn in this book, in this series of books, is not like a dainty white flying thing. It's a great big cart horse with a stinking great horn on its nose that will gore you and do you damage. So I've always enjoyed that world. The London stuff is done so well, and I can relate to it possibly more than most people. But now he's taken that rug from under your feet. Ben Aaronovitch, the author, has taken the rug from under our feet and has plonked us in a different environment. Not for the first time. We've been to Germany. We've been to the countryside. But this one is set in the New York of the 1920s. And actually, part of the point of it is Peter Grant joins the Folly. There is a supernatural branch to the Metropolitan Police, and there's only one wizard left there, and his name is Thomas Nightingale. And again, Kobna Holdbrook-Smith brings that character to life so well. And this is... funnily enough, it just reminded me of the Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts thing. It's almost exactly the same. So this character, who is the UK's last remaining wizard. God, I can't believe I'm saying this. This really isn't my kind of book. This is why it's special that it's grabbed me. He is of indeterminate age. We know there are stories about him from the Second World War, but we think he's even older than that. And this book confirms that, because Nightingale, when not the only wizard in the village in the 1920s, is sent by steamer, by boat to New York with a trunk. And he is dropped down to that environment, and he's on the hunt for or following the trail of some magical musical instruments. And yeah, I've got to sell this book to you, Steve, because you didn't like it, did you?
Well, you kind of are selling it to me. I should really love this. And Ben Aaronovitch, I know from obviously I've said that I'm a Doctor Who fanatic from when I was a kid, and he wrote.
Hold on. I've got a plan, right?
Yeah.
Usual 3-step process. What we do, you're starting to talk about the author, and there's a lot to be said about him.
I know, creeping in.
How would you describe his relationship with the podcast, Steve? This podcast,
crackly. That was the kind of the phone line that we interviewed him on, really, wasn't it?
Well, we have interviewed him. I would consider him a friend of the show, mainly because
don't do that. I'll say
you hate that, don't
friend
you?
of the show. He can either be friends of ours or nothing else. You can't be a friend of an MP3 file or download or whatever format you listen to.
I think I'm going to get you an AI girlfriend while your girlfriend is away, and we'll see if you can become friends with a number of zeros and ones. I think you're wrong. I would describe Ben Aaronovitch's relationship with this podcast, which is greater than the sum of our parts. I would describe him as a friend of the show. Let's do the thing. We normally talk about the author, then we go on to talk about the text. And then finally, whether the audiobook production and performance adds anything, brings anything to the party. So Ben Dylan Aaronovitch was born on the 22nd of February, 1964. He's an English author and screenwriter. He was born in Camden. He's the son of economist Sam Aaronovitch, who's a senior member of the Communist Party of Great Britain. And he's the younger brother of actor Owen Aaronovitch, who I don't really know. Maybe you can fill in some gaps. And journalist and former Radio 2 stand-in presenter David Aaronovitch. So he's the author of the series of novels Rivers of London. I think this is book 11 and a half or something. And this is the bit that you like. He also wrote 2 Doctor Who serials in the 1980s and spin-off novels from Doctor Who and Blake's Seven. That's your line of country, isn't it? That's how you love this author, and we're excited that we were going to talk to him rather than this series of books.
I was watching the Remembrance of the Daleks from the 25th Blu-ray collection, which only recently came out with added special effects, ladies and gentlemen, and some brilliant documentaries with him in it. That story was considered one of the best stories of classic Doctor Who from Ben Aaronovitch. He also wrote Battlefield a year later as well. But yeah, so this is how I came into contact with his writing. But he's been on quite the journey between Doctor Who and Rivers of London.
Yeah, he has. And as somebody who's worked I love the way you've ordered a Blu-ray, Steve. I think they closed the Blu-ray department down. I think it's all blue.
It was a Christmas present. Yeah,
it's all Bluetooth these days, apparently.
Yes, that's what I've got.
Face Hub. So he was a television writer in the 1980s, and before the idea for the Rivers of London series came to him, he spent some time working in Waterstones, which of course not only gave him a wage of sorts, but also a discount, a staff discount on books, which are clearly his passion and his love. So yeah, the bits where he's earned this, he's earned the success he's had in the last 10 years by sheer hard graft. No, we just have to read the books. He probably had to lift boxes full of them, and books are heavy, Steve.
They are. I mean, you imagine that though. I mean, the number of people out there who want to write, want to be a full-time writer. That in itself is an achievement. Becoming a full-time writer, not having to do, the job in Waterstones and so on, and that must have felt so sweet. To be able to move into it full time, and good luck to him, because he's created an incredible series here.
And beyond that, we have met him. He was incredibly generous with his time. We did a very long interview with him, which, as you say, for technical reasons, is involving me holding up two phones to a microphone here in Australia while you and he were in. It was just we were told by the person who booked the interview, Mr. Aaronovitch does not do Skype, and we just it was a technical nightmare. But the words from his mouth and his actions, he's just a lovely man. A lovely man, and what I liked, my favourite bit was when he was telling us about how Germany is a great country to go on holiday, particularly, as he said, if, like me, you're a larger lady. So he's a heavy-set young man, but he likes the way that Germany works.
He was knocking about my way the other day. Actually, he was going, because I'm in Kent, and he was down the road from me in the Medway Towns doing a tour of libraries and stuff, and giving talks. And if I had known, I might have done something about that.
Oh, I'm sorry you missed him. But listen, the German thing has given me some inspiration. I think I'd like to take him out for a sausage and a pint. The place that you and I have our secret meetings.
Our secret sausage meetings, yes.
Our secret sausage meetings in the German Gymnasium round the back of King's Cross Station. I think we should take him out for a Stein and a Wurst. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, well up for that. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to.
Well, look, I'm pedaling hard for that, because obviously I've got to, as I say, sell this book to you. But the author you're sold on, yes?
Yes, absolutely. By rights, I should love Rivers of London.
Yeah, okay. And yes, and I don't get it. I mean, you're not the first person to whom I've recommended this series of books, and they haven't quite got round to it, or have got 6 pages in and not gelled with it. And I think in the case of this book, for reasons that will come up later, again, I think it's one you have to walk into it with the enthusiasm that I have done. And also, I start off, I know what 1920s New York looks like. I haven't been to 1920s New York, but the whole speak-easy, the Empire State Building's just been built. There's a bit where in this book, just it just flies past you. It's one sentence, but one of the characters looks up and sees somebody walking along a builder walking along a girder 100 feet in the air. We know what we've seen Harold Lloyd films. We know what that looks like. So I think if you go into it and kind of set your brain to, in a speakeasy, when you go knock on the door, you've got to have the password, and the little hole in the door slides back, and there's a large gentleman behind it who'll let you in if you have the password, so you can drink illegal hooch and dance the Charleston. I think if you don't give yourself 30 seconds to put yourself in that world, then you're gonna be flailing about a bit. But if you walk in with those pictures in your head that we know from films, television, books, I think it makes it. It's about your attitude, Steve. Frankly, and how you walk to the book, how you approach it. If you're going to come here with your stinky mood, then you're not going to enjoy it. You've let yourself down. You've let yourself down, and mainly, you've let yourself down.
Yeah, mainly. I don't understand why, though. I don't understand why and I don't think it's anything to do with the book necessarily, because I know I think I'm just a bit of a weirdo. I think that the sort of the genres that I really love and should love, the book versions of, I can't quite seem to connect with, get into it. I mean, I'm sure I probably will, actually. If this was like a big Finnish audio drama, maybe it's the format of it. If this was dramatized, maybe then maybe I might get into it, actually. But I think it could be actually that it's a book.
Well, I was going to say
the story. Actually, I may well love. Yeah.
The next stage of our process is the book, and as you know, I spend hours and hours preparing clips and writing scripts for this show. But people actually only tune in to hear you do your broadcaster voice as you read the blurb. So, would you mind doing me the honours, and our gentle listener the honours of you? Would you read the blurb from the back of the book, please, Steve?
Okay, this is a feature you kind of have crept into this. I don't say it's a tradition just yet, is it?
Because your ability to read and put emotion and emphasis into a script that you've never seen before is almost as supernatural as some of the events in this book, Steve. So yeah, no, and that's why I also sometimes I drop a little sentence into the middle of something. Do you remember when I made you read on the podcast that believes in the curative properties of ground rhino horn? And it wasn't till you finished reading it that you realised you just read that out loud. Your ability to read a script cold is frankly supernatural and we need to bow down before it.
And will be my undoing, of course, as I broadcast an offensive line you stick in the auto cue. Much like Ron Burgundy right there. By the way, as I read this, there may be a mispronunciation of flaneur, because I've not said that word before.
No, flaneur is it comes from the French word flâner, which means to stroll. It is similar to the word boulevarder. It implies walking down the Champs-Élysées, dressed to the nines. You know how in France the cafes you don't face each other in a cafe.
Where?
They face out onto the pavement. So that you can watch and judge other people walking past. So a flaneur is somebody who either sits on the... You can imagine somebody who is dressed to the nines, probably has a silver-topped cane and a top hat. And just walks around posing. There you go. My French A-level came in useful. There it is.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll tell you, I've been doing over a year of Duolingo. That has never come at once. So thank you, Matt, for that. Appreciate that.
My children are very clever. They're doing Duolingo. I think because you get points for learning vocabulary, don't you?
I think so. Yes. I think so. Yes, you do.
So my children, Charlotte is learning German or doing the bit of learning German that comes from such an app, but both of them, to get the points, are learning English. They're doing the Duolingo English version.
Well, fair enough. Okay, here we go. Meet Augustus Berrycloth Young, fop, flaneur, and Englishman abroad, as he chronicles the jazz age from his perch atop the city that never sleeps. That is, until his old friend Thomas Nightingale arrives, pursuing a rather mysterious affair concerning an old saxophone, which will take Gussie from his warm bed to the cold shores of Long Island and down to the jazz clubs where music, magic, and madness haunt the shadows. Discover why this incredible series has sold over 2 million copies around the world. If you're a fan of Terry Pratchett or Douglas Adams, don't panic. You will love Ben Aaronovitch's imaginative, irreverent, and all-round irresistible novels.
So, yeah, as you can see, this is Ben Aaronovitch again doing great stories and he claims that it's subconscious for him, but definitely a positive message or representation of diversity, which I admire. And he says, he only does it by accident because he lives in London and that's what London's like. So I completed the story. How far did you get, Steve?
I got about halfway, I think. Yeah.
And there's a little bit with the lead character, and this, I think, gradually brings us to the audiobook and the performance. I think there are elements where certainly at the beginning, I would never want to be described as a fop. I think, there's a whole Brideshead Revisited Bertie Wooster thing going on with certainly the contrast with Gussie, as he's called, and he has a valet.
Oh, it's another reason why I should love this book, though. I love P.G. Wodehouse and Jeeves and Wooster and everything. It's Well, I'll give it another crack.
Here, let me play you a clip. We'll move on to talk about the audiobook as a production. And yeah, to be honest, the combination of perhaps the character isn't immediately likable, plus the normally untouchable Kobna Holdbrook-Smith's performance, I think that contributes to making this book hard to listen to.
Yeah.
So the bit where it's all sort of, it's a bit too much. It's great because Kobna's still got the voice of Nightingale and no one else can play Nightingale.
I had no right to drag you into this affair. You must forgive me, Gussie. I did not realize how much you had to lose.
But getting Kobna to do a white 1920s irritating gay man.
What good does it do a fellow to be a master of the mystic arts if he's not allowed to do a bally thing with said mastery?
Is a bit hard to chew, and I don't think Kobna initially is comfortable doing that.
Do you think there might be an element of you just not being used to him doing that character because you're so familiar with all these other characters? Because to me, it felt kind of, I don't know, normal, I guess.
Okay, all right. And again, so familiar with Kobna. When Ben Aaronovitch spoke to us, he said, that there is a certain extent to the way that Kobna did the book so well, did the reading of the first book so well, Ben Aaronovitch then heard Kobna's characterizations in his head as he was writing, and also that perhaps the audiobooks might not have been such an important thing to this series if Kobna had not done such a good job on the first one. And that he also likes to throw in, a 25-year-old Iranian girl or a woman or somebody from it was Sudan, wasn't it? Was the one where Somali. He has a Somali character who's only meant to be there for 2 minutes to open a door and ended up staying for 3 novels. Kobna handled all of those quite well, but in small pieces. But this is just full on Kobna being a fop specifically a white 1920s. And I found it difficult to get into at the beginning, and I think Kobna did as well, because if you listen to this bit from chapter 10, you can hear he's backed off a bit and the voice sounds a bit more natural.
I'd had the dress on before. Madame Zaza had to fit it, and Lucy had to have his own private first-night view, but none of that is the same as when you wear it for the first time, as it were, in anger. The feel of the chiffon pressing the silk of your shift against your back and your thighs, the stockings tight as armour as you roll them up your legs, and then the shoes, slipping them on and standing in front of the mirror, taller, stretched out, and suddenly, fabulously, being totally inside yourself, in a way you never truly are at any other time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. That's not what bugged you. The Kobna's performance is not.
No.
It is not your problem.
No, I think because I haven't listened to as much of him as obviously you have, I might feel differently if I was, if I'd listened to every Rivers of London book that he'd done and he's playing a different character. But I see what you mean about a fop. Yeah, it does conjure up, sort of what ho, tally ho, sort of. You think Hugh Laurie, don't you? You think in Jeeves and Worcester and what have you. But yeah.
And in the last 30 years, so sort of. We've been trained not to like posh people, haven't we? Don't
worry, it's okay.
As my brother says, it takes a courageous man to say butter these days.
Oh, that's a joke. Me as a commoner, I might need to off air. You might need to explain. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you like me to go and take a look at your drainage in the lower field?
Draw me a bus, Phillips.
Call me a bus. Right then. Are we pretty set? I think we've had our time, have we, on this one?
Yeah. I think we've had our time, but I would say I found it challenging at the beginning to get into this book, but I love the series, and I love Ben Aaronovich's writing, and I love Kobna Holdbrook-Smith's personification of Peter Grant, the main character in the series. I was delighted to go back to 1920s New York. Great Gatsby was another reference we haven't mentioned. It's an era that we all like to watch the sanitized version of on the big screen. So it's nice to go back there. But I can understand both you and I have found getting to grips with this a bit difficult for different reasons. But ultimately, please, Mr. Aaronovitch, can you come back on our show? Because we'd love to talk to you in quality and find out what's coming down the track. What's next?
I'm going to go back. I'm going to finish this book off, and I'm going to get into this series because this plays so much into what I would normally like. So I'm going to dive straight back in. Okay.
Well, do you know what? And again, we ask if the audiobook brings anything to the party. You always say you're better at factual stuff than you are at the fiction stuff. You find it harder to relate, although your book of the year last year was a fiction. Maybe you should just read this one as a book.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe that's what I should do. I should let go of myself.
I'd be interested to see if that made a difference for you, and whether, and again, not everybody likes audiobooks.
Seeing as you mentioned factual books there, by the way.
Yes.
So next week, we're going back to school with something you've chosen, and you said you'd say something about why you've chosen this book.
Well, okay, so the book is called Alchemy. It's by a gentleman by the name of Rory Sutherland, who is not only an author, in fact, that's a small part of what he does. He is, I think, the co-director of the enormous global advertising agency Ogilvy, and he is a student of human behavior. Now, we haven't done a book like this before, which, having dipped into it, is it's going to be tricky. I don't know how we're going to do, Steve. I don't think we're going to get through the whole of it. But I've just, a friend of mine who works in marketing and advertising has said, this guy's great. He's a thought leader. It's brilliant. Here, have a look at these short videos on YouTube. And one of the first ones I saw was him saying, if you were working in a soft drinks company in the 1980s, your biggest rival was Coke. And if you use logic, then what you would do to beat Coke is you would need bigger portions, so a larger can. You'd need it to taste nicer than Coke, and you'd need it to be cheaper than Coke. And actually, the only soft drink that from the 80s that came close to rivaling Coke was Red Bull, which, as he says, comes in a tiny can, is incredibly expensive, and tastes disgusting. So it's his way of looking at stuff like that, and how in business, which, you know, we're not doing this for our MBA, Steve, we're doing it for those anecdotes. But in business, sometimes the accountants have a little bit too much control. Sometimes there's too much logic, and actually sometimes a bit of lateral thinking is required. And I've become incredibly engaged with him, talking about branding and over the last, just through short form videos. And I thought, maybe it's time we read his book. Maybe it's time you and I tried to read something which I'm sure is on the syllabus of some advertising courses. But he is, we used the word avuncular a couple of weeks ago.
I love an avuncular person. Yeah.
He like Ben Aaronovitch, is a larger lady. So yes, it's very jolly to see him there in a pair of red braces, pacing up and down.
Aww.
I'll send you some links. Let's see what you think. But
please send me links. I'm looking forward to this one.
This is new for us, and yeah, it's a different kind of audiobook which he reads, and he's very charming.
Yes. Well, I look forward to it. We're going to become a right pair of Don Drapers next week, aren't we? If you know your Mad Men.
Well, indeed.
Yeah. Well, then, it's going to be Alchemy, the magic of original thinking. Oh, hang on. No, that's not the subtitle of it. The surprising power of ideas that don't make sense. I think I might be reading a US version of it. I think I had a different link up there for momentarily. I was trying to find out how long the book is on Audible, but it eludes me for the moment. It's substantial anyway, the length of the book.
Yeah,
it's not insignificant. Let's just say it's anywhere between 5 minutes and 24 hours.
It's a tome.
It's a whopper.
It's a whopper.
And 2 for 1, maybe. Pilot high, sell it cheap. Alchemy, the surprising power of ideas that don't make sense, by Rory Sutherland, read by the author. That's next week's book. Tell us what you thought of that. Tell us what you thought of this book. Are you a Rivers of London bus with a massive... a Rivers of London buff, indeed, not bus.
The wheels on the Rivers of London bus go round and round and round.
I did a hunt for London's route masters back in the day. They'd just been taken off the streets, and an old colleague of mine at BBC London, Simon Lederman, and I hunted to try and get at least 100 route master buses tracked down. One that was a restaurant in Baghdad. Anyway, straying from the point. Are you a Rivers of London buff?
They're all in Ken Bruce's back garden, aren't they?
That's true. Yeah, we spoke to Ken Bruce as well, actually. Funny enough. Yeah.
Good.
Go myself.
Did you speak to the estate agent in Camden Town?
No.
Yeah, basically, I think it's on Arlington Road. There is, he doesn't have an office. He's got a route master bus.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, back to the end of the podcast, because I'm sure you want to move on to the next one in your feed, whatever that may be. By the way, tip of the hat to Follycast. By the way, that is the Rivers of London podcast. If you really want to get into your Rivers of London, by the way, Follycast. Available wherever you get your podcasts, pretty much like this one. So give it a try after you've finally listened to me finish off this one, eventually. But let us know what you think. Many
and the audience.
Took it right down to the core, the lowest common denominator there. At Audiobook Show is our handle on Blue Sky, on Instagram. We're also on Facebook as well as X, and we always sort of post up mainly on Instagram and Blue Sky. But get involved with your thoughts on Rivers of London, and in particular Masquerades of Spring, and next week's book, Alchemy, the surprising power of ideas that don't make sense, by Rory Sutherland. Until then, we shall see you very soon, won't we, Matt? In fact, same time next week, eh?
Same time next week.
Monday. Take care.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.